Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 121 of Carmela's Wrestling Radio Relived. I'm so excited about that. With us, we have tonight, Jeannie is back again. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love
Yes.
you. And our dear, sweet, wonderful Joel Goodhart is here, but you can't see him.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Shut up. We're letting him be on the show without being able to see him because this is a really important podcast and we didn't want to reschedule it. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about real quick before we talk about this particular podcast is I wanted to tell everybody that I'm going to become a part of the the Women's Wrestling Network. It's another podcast with all women, and it's all women talking about wrestling and their wrestling experiences and blah, blah, blah. And it's a part of a gentleman named Professor Bear. He has been around since at least 2017. He's got a ton of listeners. He's really good. And he's going to be on our show on the 30th of July. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. The show just started. It's got a really cool logo and it's got all kinds of cool stuff. So, keep listening to the podcast and I'll let you know when I'm going to be on. Okay, so now let's go into what we're talking about today. Before we start with anything, all right, I just wanted to let you know that there's going to be a documentary of the TWA, not just the show, the TWA in general. So before we get to that, I want to start from the beginning. So Joel, tell us from the beginning how this all started, how you started, how the TWA was born.
Well, it actually was born out of necessity, but actually how this whole thing started, if you go back way back when, you and I, both of us, started doing some promotions. Our first promotion was at Yosemite High School. Our main event was Dominic DiNucci, in the main event. And, it was one of those crowds we had 100 and some odd people show up, but we both got the bug. And then we decided to go and become bigger and better things. And long story short, we started to do some promotions at the Valley Fort Sheraton. I had a contact at the Valley Fort Sheraton, and one of our main events was Abdullah the Butcher against Bruiser Brody. And that was just an unbelievable, everybody knows, anybody who attended that show knew that we were on the verge of something. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, at some point in that timeline, you had decided at that point you wanted to be a full-time mom. And so you kind of bowed away from the wrestling a little bit.
That's not why I quit. How many times do I have to say it? Okay. I quit because we were losing money. Paul didn't want to quit. That's why. So go ahead now.
I continued because I kept losing money. Okay. So there you go. Okay. But anyway, the long and short of it was that I started to put together some shows, independent shows. We started using Temple University's McGonigal Hall. One of my first main events, we actually had a main event of Larry Zbyszko, managed by Paulie Dangerously, versus David Sammartino, managed by Bruno Sammartino. That was one of my main events. I also had Junkyard Dog against Paul Jones. I had match after match after match. And somebody suggested to me, why don't you start an organization? And we were obviously working with the Crockett's at that point with the NWA. We had done some shows up in the Eastern area with the AWA. And I kept thinking, okay, if we're going to start something, what should we start? And I came up with the name of Tri-State Wrestling Alliance because I hate when you have the National Wrestling Alliance and they wrestle in 12 cities. Okay? Even the WWF doesn't wrestle in all 50 states. And yes, they're worldwide because they're international, but they don't wrestle in every country. So I believe in truth in advertising. So I came up with the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. And the idea was that we were going to wrestle in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. And as it turned out, we did one show in Maryland. That was the exception to the rule. But basically, we wrestled in Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Delaware. We started doing some shows, and the radio show that I had on WIP at the time, they do something called the Q Factor. And the Q Factor shows how many listeners you have per quarter hour. Well, as it turned out, I had 28,000 listeners per quarter hour. And I've always said that if everybody who listened to the show had come to my wrestling programs, I'd be Vince McMahon today. Exactly. But most of the people listening to the show didn't come to my cards, and the rest is history. Anyway, we started the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. We started getting some decent cards, decent crowds at the Temple University McGonigal Hall. And Temple University was very helpful to me. We were able to put the quarterly shows on. The building was built in such a way that when DC Drake and Larry Winters went up to the rafters, they literally went up to the rafters. They went to the sports box. They went all over the building. We drew some great crowds. And one time I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a belt made. So I had a TWA belt made, a legitimate belt, not one of the pieces of crap that you see in the local, around here these days. And we had a legitimate belt made. And sure enough, I brought the belt out to introduce it to the crowd at Temple. And this is actually on video, and you can see it on YouTube. Long story short, I introduced the belt. As I'm walking down the steps out of the ring, Bill Apter comes up to me and says, we want you to know, meaning the PWI, we want you to know that PWI is recognizing your belt in its magazine.
Wow.
Well, that was it. That was the enjoyment. Bill Apter I'm going to give him all the credit because Bill Apter, and I still talk to Bill all the time. Long story short, he gave us instant credibility. The top 10 was listed in PWI every month for the top 10 wrestlers from the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance.
Cool.
And of course, the wrestling magazines, and it was Bill Apter, George Napolitano, Dr. Mike Lano. I mean, I can go on and on and on. These guys.
Right, wait, before you do that, okay, before you go on and on, Ryan just signed in, so we're going to bring Ryan up, and then you can finish your story. Okay. And we lost Jeannie's face too. Jeannie, are you there?
I don't know. There was
I don't know what's wrong tonight, but we're going to go with it. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Ryan, how are you, honey?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
Well, clearly, no, thank you for coming. But clearly, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Joel and Jeannie have blacked out, but they're there, so we're going to do the show anyway. So
I can't see Ryan or hear Ryan.
You can't see or hear him.
No.
Maybe it'll come to you in a little bit because, that's what happened with Joel. You could hear him eventually. All right, Joel. I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying about Bill Apter, and you give him credit.
Yeah, so I give him all the credit for establishing the TWA in the eyes of the magazines. And the magazines were very pivotal to our success. And between Bill Apter, George Napolitano, Dr. Mike Lino, and I can go on and on and on, every one of our shows, we had amazing number of photographers and all legitimate photographers. Well, I had the opportunity to get one step bigger than Temple University McGonigal Hall. And we wound up running at the Philadelphia Civic Center in a hall called Pennsylvania Hall, which was the same building that Crockett was running the NWA, except they were obviously in the main area. We were in the side Pennsylvania Hall. We actually did 2 shows at Pennsylvania Hall that outdrew the Crockett's. Okay, we had one crowd of 3,000 people. And that month, the NWA drew about 2,100.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, it was crazy. But we had a hardcore audience, and we had a hardcore following. The radio show was my television at that point.
Right.
Okay. And the TWA got established to the point where at one point toward the end, I was negotiating for television. That never came to fruition because, to be quite frank, we couldn't do what we were going to do on television. I mean, that was really the problem. We couldn't figure out how to do it. Anyway, the TWA got established, and we still think about this one. That was back in 91. So here we are 35 years later, and we're still talking about what you did 35 years ago in an independent circuit with no TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
And so as this thing grew, eventually I got out of the business in 92. January 18th of 92 is when I went off the air. I disappeared for 17 years. And when I say I disappeared, to this day, I've not watched one ECW show. Okay, I've watched a match occasionally on YouTube, but I've never watched the show completely. I didn't go to any independent cards. I didn't go to Crockett, didn't go to Vince, didn't go any of that stuff. Vince's shows doesn't do anything for me. The WWF is not even wrestling, so I don't even count that. But I know you have a lot of followers that follow the WWF. Well, and that's fine. I mean, that's their taste, not mine. Anyway, the shows were getting better and better, to the point where I was spending so much money on my shows that I was having success, having 25 people show up and 2,500 people show up and lose money. Okay, so you got out in great timing. You did good. Okay.
Well, I think what happened with that, first of all, Ryan, can you unmute your mic, please? I think that's part of the reason. It says your mic is muted.
I muted it afterwards, but yeah. Sure.
All right. Jeannie, can you hear him now?
Yes.
All right, good. But I think what some of the problem might have been, first of all, I could not have stayed. In all fairness, being 2/3 owners, we couldn't come up with twice the money. It was just too much. But I think what happened was, out of the kindness of your heart, I think maybe you spoiled the wrestlers a little bit. From what I understand, you paid them real good money, which is, of course, why they were always available for you.
Mhm.
And I think when you went out of your way so much for them, they remember you heart and soul. They really do. And they love you heart and soul, and as they should. But unfortunately, that may have been part of the catalyst that caused the TWA to be, going
Sure.
down.
Well, I have two reputations. One is I overpaid, and the second was my checks cleared.
Oh, there
Okay.
you go.
So these guys, in fact, I think I told the story on your podcast once before.
Right.
One of the first shows that I did at Temple, I mentioned that the main event was David Sammartino with Bruno in his corner. And Bruno had a relationship with me because of you. Okay. We met, I met Bruno when we had the grand opening of the Squared Circle.
Right.
Anyway, when it came time for the show to end, it was the main event. And when we ran the shows at Temple, we had to run the shows in the afternoon because Temple was not a place to go to at night.
Right.
So when we got to the last main event, Bruno, at the end of the show, Bruno goes back into the dressing room, and Bruno had a flight back to Pittsburgh. Literally, at that time, you could walk up to the plane and just get on the plane.
Right.
His flight was like at 5:30, 5:45, and he'd be home at 7. Anyway, he left the building, but before he left the building, right there in the locker room with all the boys waiting around to get paid and get their envelopes, Bruno says as loud as he could possibly be, "Hey, Joel, I got to run. Just mail me my check."
Yeah, that's a big one for Bruno.
Okay.
Because Bruno used to expect his money wired to him.
Oh,
before
yeah.
He made
Oh,
the
yeah.
appearance. Yeah.
Well, once he did that, he established me with all the boys that they knew that I was good. My price was right. I paid people fairly. Look, I've been a professional all my life. I'm going to pay people like a professional. Today, some of the guys, my local guys at my shows back in 1991, were getting paid more than some of the main eventers get paid here today.
I believe it.
It's unbelievable how the promoters take advantage of the wrestlers. Well, the guys, when I called them up, they all said yes because they knew my money was good. And they knew that when I told them I'm willing to pay extra, but you better give me the show of shows. And that's why I typically used to have 6 main events at every show.
Right.
Okay. And they all put out for me. They all did it. In fact, the one time, and Cactus Jack even talks about this to this day, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack and Eddie Gilbert had that 2 out of 3 falls match at the Philadelphia Civic Center for me. And I actually paid them for 3 matches. And Mick Foley talks about the story that before he got to Vince, it was the biggest payday ever had.
Wow.
I didn't pay him to do 3 matches for 1 check. I literally gave him 3. Same thing with Eddie. I gave him money for 3 matches. That's the way I did it. Yeah. But yeah, that was my downfall. No question.
Well, like I said, though, and that's why to this day, and I was there at your house, Ryan, you were there, Jeannie, you were there, when we had that little tell-all kind of thing, so to speak. And every single solitary wrestler that was there, including myself and Jeannie, cried. We all had tears and about talking about how much they loved you and how amazing you were and how, you were the best in the world and how, everybody could depend on you, could count on you. And you know what? Regardless of whether you are involved in wrestling anymore or not, you have a really, really big legacy to leave behind because promoters today, even WWE, I don't think can have that kind of verbal collateral, I'm going to say, where the wrestlers just absolutely eyes closed, are like, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever you say, without question, without asking how much you're going to pay. What do I have to do? This or that. As long as Joel Goodhart came up, it was like, okay, whatever he wants, whatever he says. I don't care. Am I right, Jeannie? You were there.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, absolutely. The loyalty and the love from all the guys that were there that day was I cried too. It really was unbelievable. It really was. It was great to see.
I'll add this one thing. 2 weeks ago, we had that 80s con up in Parsippany, New Jersey. And at the con, some of the old cohorts that I had, Nikita Koloff was there, Tommy Rich was there, Austin Otto was there. I mean, I can go down the list. They still talk about the matches. Okay. And one time Nikita had signed with WCW and I had him on the card and I said to him, I'll fly you in. I'll pay you. I just need you to show up, get into the ring, announce that you're going, whatever, however you want to do it. And I did it. Now, I paid him. I didn't have to pay him. I didn't have to fly him in. I certainly didn't need him on the card. It was Ivan Koloff who was going to be the actual main eventer. But he even talked about that 35 years later.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something that look, these guys talk. The one thing you learn about wrestling, there are no secrets.
No.
Okay. And it's your reputation, good, bad, or indifferent. Well, I got a good reputation because of the money. I mean, I didn't get it. It's not because I'm a nice guy. Okay. They gave me a reputation. To this day, I'm proud of everything I did. Okay. Should I have done it differently? No question. Okay. But I'm proud of everything I did, and I never stabbed anybody in the back.
And that's all you need. That's a good reputation to have, because especially back then, your word was your bond. There was really no contracts. Did you guys have a lot of contracts?
Zero.
Okay, well, there you go. It was a handshake. It was a word. It was a faith. It was a confidence that people had in you that made them want to do what you wanted them to do. And to this day, that's why they don't forget it. And to this day, you put them on the map. A lot of the wrestlers today, I remember you telling me a long time ago that you're responsible for putting the zeros behind Mick Foley's name on his check.
And he'll tell you that too. And in fact, in his book, I'm in there 13 pages by name. Okay. And Fine Day. He made it work. There's no question he made it work. I gave him the platform. Okay. And to this day, he talks about the fact that he made a very good living, and now he's with AEW. I mean,
he is.
He made a very good living, and a lot has to do with the exposure. The magazines made it work back in the day.
Yeah.
And because Bill Apter and George Napolitano came to every one of my shows and literally took, I don't want to think about how many rolls of film they took, but every magazine had an article. And all I said to the publishers, I just wanted to be at the bottom, photo courtesy of TWA. I didn't want my name, the hell with my name. Just put TWA in there, and they did it. And
I think also it's important to focus or mention the fact that Bill Apter and George Napolitano were two of the prime picture takers and magazine guys and all that stuff, because today you don't really have that anymore. You have YouTube and you have podcasts and you have all this other stuff and the internet and TikTok and blah, blah, blah. But back then they were the do all and be all of the pictures. There was a lot of people taking pictures. You're right. But the names of Bill Apter and George Napolitano were prime. Okay. Yep. All right. Let's go to Ryan real quick. Ryan, first of all, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure and an honor always to have you here. Secondly, tell us why you agreed to be involved at all in the TWA.
So I wasn't really involved in the TWA. This is a separate project, I think, entirely than the TWA. I did a little bit when Mike and Joe ran their reboot of TWA. I helped them out a little bit with music and stuff like that. But I wasn't old enough to be at any of Joel's shows.
Well, you were a big part of the. You were a big part of, I meant this, I should have said recent TWA, because you were a big part of the May 3rd show. You were a big part of helping to put all that together. You are the person to do the documentary. You are, everything TWA now, more recently. I apologize. I should have questioned.
No.
Put the question a little better.
I think the reason I was interested in this project was, I've heard Joel's story a couple of times in a couple different ways, never front to back, start to finish. And I've never heard it including everybody else who was there. And I thought that was kind of important to get the Tony Stetsons, the Johnny Hotbodies, and a lot of these guys who were there to talk about what TWA meant. I've heard from Joel, the reasons why he had to shut down over the years. But I never heard what that did to the wrestlers and how they thought about it. And, you can imagine the range of emotions that those guys went through, from everything from understanding to happy to mad to upset everything. And that was the story I wanted to tell. This stuff we never really got to hear.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense because going back to what I had said earlier, Joel say, well, it wasn't because I was a nice guy. No, maybe not. Okay. But it was because your integrity was there. It was because you gave these gentlemen and women a platform. You helped them to become what they eventually wound up becoming. And you, again, going back to the same thing, you were trusted. And a lot of things today, and knowing how much we know about wrestling, I know like the back of my hand so much about wrestling. There's so many people that way back then and now could not and still can't be trusted. So, and like Joel said, if you want to hear a rumor spread, tell a wrestler. It's like, telegraph, telephone, tell a wrestler. And men, especially the men, they gossip more than women do. They always did. But it works in the other way around too, because if you are a good person and you do the right thing and you take care of the people, then that word will get out as well, which is exactly what happened. So,
and I think that like a lot of with the guys, which I love what, Ryan said, he wanted to get all, the guys' perspective, is that Joel had the loyalty of Larry Winters, DC Drake, Johnny Hotbody, Tony Stetson, Glenn Osborne. Like they knew him and saw that, okay, yeah, let's do this, and even started the Ringmasters school, to get, people, trained to be a wrestler and things like that. And that loyalty from that core is, really, I think what happened, it's like, yeah, okay, let's do this. I think, Joel, didn't you have like a meeting in your apartment in Philly and had like Larry over and all those guys?
Yeah, well, one time I had a meeting. I had an apartment in Northeast Philadelphia at a development called 800 Cotman Avenue. And my apartment was so big that I used to kid people that I had 2 area codes on my phones. Okay. Well, anyway, long story short, there was one night that I had a meeting with all the local guys. They all came up to my place. Getting them out on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, it's not easy to do. They all came up. They all wanted to be part of something bigger. And I came up with a model that quite frankly worked. Financially, it didn't work, but it worked. And that was to take the local talent, combine them with the big names, have the big names draw people in and sell tickets, but eventually the local talent would become the main events. And that's essentially what happened. People were paying to see Larry Winters against DC Drake. People were paying to see Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody. People were paying to see Glenn Osborne and Jimmy Jannetty. People were coming out of their way to see the local guys. Now, the fact that you had Jerry Lawler on the card with Terry Funk, the fact that you had Abdul the Butcher against the Sheik, that didn't hurt, okay? But it got to the point where some of the matches that the local guys put on, they had to work twice as hard just to be known. And when we started doing the matches, when we had tag matches and we had the Blackhearts come in from Florida, nobody expected the Blackhearts to win the belt. Okay, but we actually got our belt to be held by a national organization. We had DC Drake and Johnny Hotbody do a match, it's again on YouTube, that was, if you watch it to this day, it's unbelievable. 36 years later, it's just unbelievable. So the local guys became the main events. The main eventers were the way to get people in the door. Okay, but even then, I was bringing people in because I wanted to see them. I had one match with Jimmy Valiant against Adrian Street. There wasn't one person in the building that cared less about that match, except I wanted Adrian Street to be north of the Mason-Dixon line. And it was funny, I saw Jimmy Valiant 2 weeks ago at the con, and Jimmy remembers me. Now, the funny part with Jimmy, I'm in his book as well, but he called me Joe, not Joel. So he keeps apologizing because he forgot the L.
He made you Italian.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, okay, let's talk a little bit about what started and how the May 3rd show got created.
Well, what happened was I was in conversations with Bay Ragney, Chubby Dudley, who I know you've had on your air many times.
Oh, yeah.
One time we were talking, and I had originally come up with the idea, and I don't even know sure how it came up, But I said to him, how about if we start up the TWA again? Now, that was a weak moment for me. Chubby was smart enough to tell me to go to hell. He's not doing it. He's not getting involved because I haven't been involved in wrestling, quite frankly, since 1991, 92. I actually went out of the business in 1992. So I came up with an idea. I said, let's do one show. And I happened to call it One and Done, just right off the top of my head. And so let's do a show One and Done. And it took us a year to put that show together. Now, I know you can't see it, but I have the DVD. Okay, we're selling the DVD, and they're selling, like we sold them last Saturday at the con. We got my book that's out there. Anyway, long story short, lo and behold, the people that the old timers are now looking for what they don't see anymore. Now, quite frankly, if they're watching Vince, they don't see wrestling at all. If they see AEW, they're seeing some wrestling. Okay, but the bottom line is the old school stuff ain't there. It's just not there because today, even the old school is more new school. It's all the high-flying acrobatic. And it is what it is. I used to have a saying in my company, Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, that everybody in the building has a front row seat at some point during the show. So I liked when activity went outside the ring. And boy, we did it better than anybody. You don't see that more anymore. So it's just, it's a style. I stole all this. I didn't come up with anything new. When years ago, when Carmelo and I would go down to Memphis. Okay, we went down to Atlanta, Georgia. We did trips. We went up. I took all the best ideas of Atlantic. I took the best ideas of World Class. I brought in Billy James at one time, and I brought in from Pacific Northwest. I brought all the styles in and made it all work in an eastern part of the country that was stuck with Vince. Okay, and there was just a lot of wrestling fans that didn't like that style.
Do you ever regret not keeping it going?
Yes. Okay, I actually, the other day, swear to God, I wish I have it in the other room. I found the program for the show that never happened. And I look at that program and I say to myself, holy Christ. But that show was not selling. The reason I closed up on January 18th is the following week, that show was going to lose me a fortune.
Really?
Oh my God. The match that I was going to have with the Battle of the Nature Boys wasn't drawing. It wasn't drawing. Okay. And then I had others on the card. It just wasn't. I did not have 1,000 tickets pre-sold.
Wow. That's weird, though. I don't understand it, though, because it happened so well all the previous shows. What do you think happened to that last one?
Well, my contention is that they got tired of every show that we did was a brawl all over the place.
All right.
Okay. The other kicker was, and this is now getting off topic a little bit, but with the TWA, it was not designed for little kids. Okay. Vince always said, if you want a little kid to come to your show, you got a mom and dad and the little kid. It's 3 tickets.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, my guys wanted to come without the kids. They didn't want to see the kids to see all the violence. So our numbers were down to begin with. I don't think that the Battle of the Nature Boys was as much a draw. Everybody wanted Flair. I couldn't get Flair because not Flair. It was because of the contractual situation you had with Vince and with Ted Turner at the time.
Right.
So everybody wanted to see that. There was a disappointment that Flair never got to work for the TWA until we had him at our WrestleCon on May 3rd of last year. The key, I think, there's a host of reasons. Okay, part of it could have been the date, part of it could have been the building. It could have been a million different things. What I do know is, if you think you lost money with me before, you would have seen what would have happened on that show.
Yeah, that's why. I'm sorry.
I was looking at losing $30,000.
Yeah, no, see, that's just it. And what? 20 of that would have been ours. It's just too much. It was just too much. Brian, you were shaking your head. What are you shaking your head for?
I think it was the date. It was early to mid-January date, and that's just never a good time for wrestling. It never has drawn well historically. You look at Eddie Company, it's always been. I think if you would have moved that show to March, you would have had a much bigger turnout and gate in advance for that show, because I think there was a lot of interest, because you've heard over the years, Joel, I'm sure, how many people were looking forward to that match. So there was an audience for it. I just think it was the date more than any other factor. I mean, obviously you could save some money by maybe rescheduling the tag match and doing that at another show, possibly, so save a little money on that show. But I think the biggest contributing factor, honestly, just looking at history, was that it was in January.
Well, I'm going to put my 2 cents into that, Ryan, because I love the winter. Okay. I like the cold. I love the darkness. Everybody who knows me knows that about me, but I wouldn't have gone in January either. I agree with you. As much as I hate the summer and I hate the sun and I hate all that, I probably would have been better off also going in like March or April or something like that. I understand what you're saying. Especially if the people were going to bring kids. A lot of people, brought their kids no matter what back then. Like my parents, they didn't go anywhere without bringing us. So a lot of people would have had to bring their children, which is also another pain in the butt in the winter, when you have kids. But Joel, why don't you give us the lineup? Can you give us the lineup for May 3rd show?
For this past May 3rd show?
Yeah.
Wait, I actually have it right here on the back of the cover. All right. So and this is no specific order. We had Breaker Morant against Chris Wilde, which was for the TWA title. And that was a phenomenal, I think that was a 5-star match. That star was absolutely phenomenal, just fantastic. The Rock and Roll Express, we had Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, along with a third party, Curry Morton, Ricky's son. Went up against the Backseat Boys, which are a local tag team. Johnny Cashmere was in it with Tammy Grayson and JP Grayson. And that was a good match. And again, Rock and Roll, I mean, they're past their prime. There's no question. Okay. But Curry took a lot of the heat. Okay. Because Curry was obviously involved in Young. We had a lumberjack match of Michael Bruno against Hitman Tony Stetson. Okay. Which was wild. Okay. Now that was one that Jeannie got involved in because we not only had lumberjacks, we had lumbergenies.
Yep, you did.
I had a ball. It was awesome.
And she got to hit Mike.
Yeah, which is great. I see Mike 3 or 4 times a year because he happens to be a client of mine. And every time I go to Jersey and I go to see him, we still talk about the fact that Lumbergenie got her blicks in. No question.
There you go, Jeannie.
Okay, we had the women's champion. We had the Gabby Ortiz against Notorious Mimi. Okay, so they were there. Then we had a match that I thought was a phenomenal. Tessa Blanchard was in.
Oh my God!
God bless her.
Oh my God, she was the best. She's still the best wrestler on the card, no question. And she wrestled Vicky Venuto.
Who's doing so good nowadays.
Yeah, that jump started her career. I think really did. Then we had the Memphis Mafia came in. Tommy Rich and Doug Gilbert came in with Shane Douglas. It came in against Shane Douglas, and Shane Douglas had a surprise guest. And I swear to you, I did not know who that surprise guest was. Okay, until literally that day, because I had to buy the airline ticket. And it was the Pitbull. Okay, and so when Gary came in, that match itself was also crazy. These were 4 hardcore professionals, and they just knew how to work the crowd. Then we had the ECWA match, which obviously Ryan was very involved with. We had Joey Ace. Yes. We had Darius Carter, J.D. Licious, and Travis Lee. And I'm telling you, that match for independents, J.D. Licious is phenomenal to me. He's 350 pounds, I'm guessing.
I was going to say that. I was just going to say that to you because we were watching it, and he is very agile. He was really good.
He walks the tightrope. He walks the tightrope in the ring.
Yes, for 350-something pounds, he walked right across the top of the ring.
It was the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's funny. I watched in my car. I happen to have a DVD player, and I watched the DVD in the car because I'm sitting in the back seat. I don't drive anymore. I'm sitting in the back seat watching this, and I still watch that, and I'm still amazed at some of the stuff these guys do. Yeah. And then just to finish out the matches, I had Super Crazy against Angel Medina. And that was really that was a Canada versus Mexico match. That was really disappointing to me, but it is what it is. So that was the card. It was the old TWA style. It was at the old ECW arena. Fortunately, Ryan got very involved with us in putting the sound together, the graphics together. I had one of my clients who's a country singer from Nashville sing "God Bless America" to start the show off.
She was very good.
Then we had the banner drop. So, this was something that Chubby Dudley started. He had announced without me, because this was before me, that he wanted to have a banner at the ECW arena that identified the start of what the Attitude Era became. It was Larry Winters, who had since obviously passed away, Larry Winters and DC Drake, Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody, and Joel Goodhart.
Right.
And we had a campaign to get 1,000 signatures, which he got. The 1,001st signature happened to have been Todd Gordon from the ECW.
Well, it's funny about that. A lot of times, and we did this too when we had our radio show years ago. You do a little thing. Oh, we're having a little contest. You do this, you do that, and maybe you slip in a winner. And it's like, we're having 1,000 signatures. Well, maybe we'll fudge a couple signatures to make. Not this time. I'm going to be honest with you. From what I understand, there was not one signature that was not an honest to God, 100% legit signature that was actually signed on their own. And that is something else to think about as well. That's another commendation for you.
Well, and I'll tell you, we have the email addresses of everybody that signed. Okay. Now, we might have had somebody do 2 or 3 and use 2 different emails. I mean, that's possible. But what you said, there was 1,000+ signatures, totally legit.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let's go back to you a minute, Ryan. I was there. And when you did the presentation, you did that whole presentation, or did Matt Boyd's son help out with that, or did he?
Oh yeah, I had nothing to do with that. That was
okay. That was beautiful. That really was.
I didn't
beautiful.
even see it, honestly. I was busy doing stuff upstairs.
Well, when I was getting interviewed at that point, I was sitting there getting interviewed. It was running in the back while we were doing that, and I thought that it was you until later on. Matt Boyd said, "Oh yeah, my son." But I thought you guys had collaborated together. But now all the interviews that you did that night. Okay. Were they part of the DVD, or will they be in the documentary?
They were for the documentary. I had 3 different crews that day running around getting interviews and footage and everything. It's without a doubt Joel's most videotaped show from every single angle.
Right.
We had more cameras going that day than I knew I even had, because I had my friend actually bring cameras too. So we probably had 10 to 12 cameras running simultaneously all day long. It was wild.
That's crazy. Well, that means hopefully you cut out all the bad things I said about Joel, right? You did that, right?
I left
Ryan. I said a lot of bad things about you, Joel. I'm sorry. I'm just saying I'm sorry in advance, but he knows me. Anyway, it was that night for me personally. Now, I have my own experiences and my own insights into wrestling, but that night honestly was amazing for me in multiple ways, because it was, number one, a lot of old school. It was, number 2, a connection that Joel and I have had for years and years. Even though I was not a part of it, I felt like I was. Okay. Number 3, one of the biggest highlights of the night was seeing Stan the Fan. Okay. God bless him. And he has since passed away. So I believe in my heart that there was a connection there. He was meant to be there that night. That's just what I believe. And then the banner dropping, like all of what's his name's Larry Winter's family. I think almost the whole family was there. The banner dropping was, in my opinion, heart-wrenching. It really was. It was phenomenal. It was a great tribute, and it was something that a regular fan, if they hadn't followed all these years, wouldn't know about. Now, Joel had said earlier that the undercard eventually became the main events. And that night that we were there at the May 3rd card, the one and done, there were really no undercard and there was really no main events. In my opinion, they were all main events. Okay. And I will say this again, because I said it 100 times and I've been known to repeat myself, but that match between Chris Wilde and Matt Boyd, okay, Breaker Morant, oh my God. That was unbelievable, where they literally, and I mean literally, fell through real honest to God doors. And I say that because I saw them, I touched them. Okay. I know they were real honest to God doors, and how they're still alive today, I cannot tell you. I really can't. So I think that was a really big legacy that you're leaving behind, Joel. But let's jump from there right now, if you don't mind, to the upcoming documentary. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Joel and Ryan? You guys can switch off or whatever.
Yeah, well, actually, it was Ryan's idea to begin with. And Ryan K. Films, his company, is the one that's making up the documentary. And I will say this, and Ryan can validate this. I have yet to see it. I have not seen it. He has sent me one 1-minute clip just to give me an idea. And then he has the trailer that he's got on Facebook. But what happened was, it was his idea to have a documentary done, and of course, have the cameras there to do the interviews and what have you. You mentioned Stan the Fan was in the building. That was also the last public appearance for Sabu.
Yes, that's right.
That was on May 3rd, and Sabu died on May 11th.
Yeah.
Right? So even though he wasn't on our show, that was the last public appearance anyway for him.
It's also his last full-time, like, sit-down interview that he ever did. Will be part of the documentary.
Wow.
Crazy.
Documentary. So it's actually pretty. The documentary, I'm looking forward to see. I want to see it for the first time. We'll talk about the dates and everything in a second. I want to see it for the first time that night. I don't want to preview it and look at it 20 times.
Yeah, you're not seeing it before that.
Ryan, I've asked. Okay. What I do want to make one point before I talk more about the documentary. The one reason that we did May 3rd of 2025, it was the only show that the TWA did that Carmelo attended.
Oh my God, here we go. I was there. I was happy to be there. I was proud to be there. I was there. And by the way, Joel, I have seen the documentary. Ryan was over my house not too long ago. He brought it over. We went through it. I made him take some things out, and there you go.
Okay. Well, bottom line is, I don't want to see it. Okay.
No, I'm kidding. You know that.
Now, so anyway, long story short, he's putting together a documentary. He's told me it runs about an hour and a half. I watched the first documentary that I see that he did that was on Jim Kenner down in Delaware. And it was phenomenal. He did a great job. So I have full faith that Ryan can put together a great documentary.
Ryan, is what you do for a living?
No, I wish. These are all just passion projects. So I wish I got paid to do them. There's no money in, even at like the high level, there's no money in documentary filmmaking. It's one of those things you do because you love.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but that's,
anyways,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep, we're going to have the world premiere on Sunday, July 12th. Okay, it's going to be at the Ambler Theater, right there on Butler Pike in Ambler, Pennsylvania. What we're going to be doing, just so you'll know, there's no admission. It's open to the public. The place holds 150 people. If more than 150 people show up, you're not going to get a seat. So the doors open at 9:00. I'm going to recommend that you get there as early as possible. I don't know if I'm going to have 10 people show up or 150 people show up. But it's first come, first serve. There's no tickets. You can't get a reserved seat or anything along those lines. Anyway, long story short, no fee, no charge, no cost. However, I am going to do it as a fundraiser for the Cauliflower Alley Club. And we're going to have a couple buckets at the front door. When you come in, 100% of the money, not 99%, not 100% of the money goes to the Cauliflower Alley Club in memory of Rich England.
Right.
And you had your show about Rich a couple months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Rich England was one of the original referees for the TWA. So we're gonna ask people to make a contribution. You can throw $1 in the bucket. You can throw $20 in the bucket. We're not keeping track of who puts what in. If you want to throw in 25 cents and say you got away with murder, you got away with murder. But anyway, the doors are going to open at 9. We're going to start the show as close to 9:30 as we can. Okay. Then we're going to kick it off. And from 9:30 to 11, give or take, we're going to show the documentary. And then right after 11 o'clock, we're going to have a little question and answer session. Now, the reason we're doing those times is under contract with Ambler Theater, we have to be out of there by 12. Okay, so we'll have a little question and answer session, and we'll be out of there by 12 o'clock. Otherwise, we got all kinds of problems.
All right, let me ask you then. When you are doing a question and answer session, does that mean that the wrestlers are going to be there?
Well, so far, nobody has committed to being anywhere. We don't, okay. I'll give you an example. Johnny Hotbody had some surgery recently. He may not be able to attend. He may not be able to get up here.
Okay.
Glenn Osborne has said he's coming. Okay, Chubby Dudley has said he's coming, although Chubby really never wrestled for the TWA. But anybody that comes will be there. Okay, now Chubby Dudley's actually flying in from Nashville to come to the show. So people are going to be flying in, people are driving in, people are going to be coming from out of town. But bottom line is, we're not taking reservations. You can't buy a reserved ticket. You can't buy if you show up at 9:30, you'll probably be locked out. Okay,
Now,
I have no idea how many people are going to show.
All right, now you did say to me, if I'm not mistaken, that there is also a restaurant around that area or someplace
Okay, so
where people.
we're going to end the conversation right there. There's a restaurant right next door called From the Boot. It's excellent. It's Italian food. We might have something set up there. The problem is I can't have 150 people go to lunch. Okay, so that's to be determined. If somebody wants to go next door to grab some lunch, they can do it. But if everybody wanted to go grab lunch, that room doesn't hold 150 people.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so I'm not promoting anything specific.
Okay. The other things I wanted to say. So then, if you don't know for sure if wrestlers are coming or how many or whatever, who is going to do other than you and Ryan? Is there going to be anybody else for the question and answer session?
Well, Bill Apter said he's coming.
Okay, good.
Well, let me change that. Bill Apter said he's going to try to come. Okay. Ryan's got the host of the show, if you will. All right. So we're going to have people there. The question and answer, quite frankly, they're going to ask questions about the documentary. Okay. So, if Glenn Osborne happens to be there, how many people are going to ask Glenn Osborne about a question? Okay. They're going to ask whatever they want to ask. So, I have no idea. Look, I'm not even sure and I've told this to Ryan, prove to me that one person's going to show up.
I'll be there.
I said one person.
Well, what are we?
No. Jeannie is one person. You don't count.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Well, there you go.
That's
I know
because
how much
you're in the no. She does count because she's the one who's in the documentary. I'm not. But
well,
okay.
Hey Ryan, can we do something about that?
No,
it's a little late, Joel. You want it done by
no.
a certain time.
No, that's okay. I'm only teasing. I'm teasing.
Jeannie kept quiet through the whole show almost, right? The one thing she says is, no, I'm not in it. Oh, my God. Jeannie. Well,
I might be seen in the background because I'm assuming the documentary kind of starts at the meeting that we had at Joel's house when we were there. So I might be in the background somewhere, but I wasn't interviewed or anything, huh?
Didn't you speak that day at Joel's house? You did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did. Okay. So now let's talk a little bit more.
But Ryan could, editing privileges, cut me out. She's not.
Nah, he wouldn't do that. Nah, he would. If he'd cut anybody out at Joel's bequest, it would be me, okay, or behest, or whatever the hell the word is.
Well, yeah, that I can say.
No, cut her out. I don't want her in there. But we're going to have you guys back a couple of times. Ryan, I don't know. I will give you dates, and then if you can come, of course, you're more than welcome. We're going to try and get a hold of some of the wrestlers, okay, that were at the show. I'm going to try and get a hold of Breaker. I'm going to try and get a hold of Chris Wilde. I'm going to try and get a hold of the people that are on the banner, Johnny Hotbody and DC Drake. All right, Brian, what are you laughing at, Ryan?
I'm sorry. My friend just walked in. I'm down here in Texas, so my friend just walked in. I asked him if he wanted to walk in behind me with no shirt on and see what you guys would say, but he won't.
Well, let him do it. Go ahead. Bring him over.
He won't do it. He walked away.
All right. Speaking of Texas, by the way, how was your stay at the?
I am here right now. Don't say where I am. Okay, that's the Von Erich's. Yeah.
Well, tell him either to come in and show his chest, or get out.
Yeah. I'm here right now. I had to move the whole trip was supposed to take place last week. There was tornado warnings or something like that out of Dallas. Okay. So I rescheduled everything for this week, which worked out because it was Memorial Day weekend and everything. So I'm down here now.
What is it like to be in? That's literally their house, isn't it? And they turned it into an Airbnb.
It's off of their house. I literally just got here 5 minutes before I joined this call. So okay. I haven't even walked around or found the bathroom or anything yet. So
okay,
I'll be checking it out after.
Well, to let everybody know that you're staying at the Von Erich Airbnb, in Texas. Now, is that what your trip is about? A wrestling trip?
No.
Okay.
This was for work. I'm just flying out of San Antonio. So,
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, if you come up with any cool stuff, like just don't forget what I said. But if you come up with any cool stuff, let us know. But
Will
anyway,
do.
getting back to what we were saying, we're trying to get, like I said, some wrestlers. So even if we have to do like 2 more shows, which I would have no problem doing, I think it would be a really good idea to promote this a little bit more, because there's a lot of people out there who didn't realize, or maybe don't realize, that the actual attendance is free. Like Joel, you just said that it's free. So there's
all
no.
the information, just to put everyone in a single place. If you go to twawrestling.com, it's got everything there. So you can find all the information, directions to the theater, start times, all that right on the website. So that's probably the easiest way to find out information.
twawrestling.com.
That's right.
Okay, so everybody go to twawrestling.com. And honest to God, I think it's going to be really nice. And it'd be nice if we got the 150 people. It'd be nice to see everybody and see this documentary. I'm really looking forward to it. Of course, after I was interviewed, I thought to myself, I wore the stupidest outfit. My hair probably looked like hell. But, it is what it is. What are you going to do? But I think it's important. I think it's important for everybody to go. I think, in all fairness, 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, this stuff will still be obviously on YouTube, but I think this legacy will still be talked about. I think this legacy will still be there. I think it's important that people know about this. This was a very long, drawn out life for Joel, and I think that this was important, that people got to know the whole story, the true story, all about it. Ryan, is the documentary really finished yet, or is it you're almost done? Or
I'm working on one more piece of the puzzle that, if I can squeeze it in, I'd like to, and if it all lines up, I'd like to. But outside of that, we're pretty much in post-production at this point, which color grading, making the sound work, and all that kind of stuff, which takes a long time, but it's kind of the home stretch of things.
So how do you find time to do all this? If you have a job, you have a family.
My kids go to bed at 7:00. That's my rule. They go to sleep at 7:00. So 8:00 till midnight is my time to edit. So,
well, how old are they?
4, 7, and 9.
Wow, you get your 9-year-old to go to bed at 7 still?
Yeah, she's the first one out.
Oh, is she really? Wow,
man,
that's
she's done.
wonderful.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter stopped taking naps at 2. There was nothing I could do.
They don't take naps anymore. That's the trick.
I'm saying she didn't sleep. She, to this day, she still doesn't sleep. I don't sleep. Nobody sleeps. But I think that's amazing that they go to bed that early still, even in the summer with the light out and everything.
That's a toss-up. Who knows what's going to happen there? But usually the sun wears them out. They're outside in the pool all day or in the sprinkler. So by the time they get inside, they're worn out and they pass out.
That's
so
great.
Hopefully we have a lot of sun this summer.
Ryan, I have a quick question. I noticed today, actually, your next ECWA show is June 28th, but it's in a new location.
Yeah. Our
what
champion. Well, we're still running our normal venue. That venue doesn't have air conditioning, so we never run in the summer. And we had the opportunity to run a show in our hometown where all of us pretty much grew up, which is Jackson.
Right, that's right.
LA Vin, who's our current champion, is a firefighter, and that's his division. And they wanted to run a wrestling show, and it all kind of lined up.
Nice.
And, so that's June 28th, Heat Stroke. It's a Sunday show, Sunday afternoon. You've got nothing going on, come check it out. We run a family-friendly show, like Joel was saying.
Not like Joel's, not like Joel's stuff,
And Joel usually comes to our show to hang out, and we try to get him involved more than he wants to be involved.
Well, we'll come too. Jeannie and I can come to that too.
Great.
Usually we don't do anything on Sunday because, I don't know if you feel this way, but on Sunday you want to relax. You got to get all your stuff ready for work. You got to do all this other crap, and going out and coming home and getting up at 5 a.m. sucks. But we'll do that. We'll come and see your show.
Oh, awesome.
Why not? Right, Jeannie?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come and see your show. Also, what else was I going to say? Joel, before we close out pretty soon, tell us right now what your feelings are on this legacy that you're leaving behind.
Well, I think it's time that we get credit where credit is due. A lot of people, for great press, ECW got a lot of the advantages because they had the TV, et cetera, et cetera. But the name of my book is We Wrestled, We Brawled, We Started It All. And it was Johnny Hotbody who came up with that cover.
Yep.
Well, the reality is that we did start it all. And even to this day, Sandman started at my Ringmasters Wrestling School, and Sandman still makes a name for himself. Okay? Blue Meanie, who you didn't mention before, is one of the wrestlers that might be coming to the event. Blue Meanie started with you and me when we were doing trips to Memphis.
He was a fan club member.
Okay,
Yeah,
he
he
was a fan
was.
club member.
So was Brian Trammell, yeah.
We started it all, okay? And I think with the documentary, with the DVD, with the book, I did have a couple meetings with Joe Dombrowski, who does the voiceovers, and he and I did the voiceovers for a lot of my shows. So we're going to have availability of our shows on tape at some point with all the matches and with the voiceovers of myself and Joe talking about it. At some point, you'll be able to go to twawrestling.com and figure out all this stuff. We're never going to make a lot of money at it. I'm not going to ever run. I know it comes up all the time. I'm not running another show. I'm not getting involved in the show. End of story. Okay. It was funny. A couple months ago, I get a phone call from Ryan. His ring announcer was going to be out of town for 2 months in a row. Would I mind doing the ring announcing? Well, I did the ring announcing, and you get that bug going. And the problem is I can't get in the ring anymore. So I sat down and I did what I had to do. I did the ring announcing, good, bad, or indifferent. You get the itch. And you always talk about this, Carmela. The business never leaves you. It's in your blood. It's always there. But
I'm a little hurt that Ryan didn't ask me though too, but that's okay. Go ahead, Joel. I'm kidding.
Would you have come?
Yes, I would have come.
I'm just boy, she doesn't take a joke. All right. So anyway, long story short, I think Ryan came up with the name of it, Bled Dry. Okay, the legacy of the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. We started it. We took everything from Memphis. We took it from World Class. We took it from Florida. We took it from Georgia. We took it from Pacific Northwest, and we brought it east. And we're the ones that did it. And so I'm hoping that this just jumpstarts the conversation a little bit more. We started it all.
You know what I hate? And I'm going to be very honest with this because, Joel, you know me. You and Jeannie know me probably more than most people except my daughter. But I hate, especially where I'm concerned, not getting the recognition that is earned and deserved. Joel, you and I have had fights about this, okay? But when I hear every time Paul Heyman walks around, everybody else, ECW, and that really gets under my skin because, yeah, all right, maybe he had a part to do with ECW. I'm not saying he didn't, but like Joel was just saying, no, you guys started it all. You guys did it all. I was not a part of that. I'm not ever going to say that I was a part of that because it's not true. But you guys started it all. And unfortunately, like you said, a lot of times or most times, people who deserve the recognition don't ever get it. And that is the problem. That is the problem that exists in this world. And I hate it. And like, with the Mick Foleys and the Paul Heymans and all this other stuff, people like the WWE, and even AEW, and I love AEW, but even AEW, TNA, all these, they soak their, as they used to say years ago, soak their pants on somebody else's progress or somebody else's success. And that's not right. It's not right. And it really makes me angry when I see things like that because it's not true and it's not right. And unfortunately, those people are still getting the accolades today. So, Joel, I agree with you 100%. It was you. I would never interfere with that. I would never deny that ever. It was you. You had a lot to do with a lot of the stuff from years ago. And, people don't recognize that. They don't understand it. They don't know it. And that's what you're trying to do now is just to let them know, that it was you who did 99% of this stuff before anybody else jumped on the coattails. And that's just what I have to say about it.
Well, it's funny. I've never, unlike you, I don't like the notoriety, and that doesn't bother me. What I do recognize is if you're going to give somebody credit, it should be us.
Exactly. It should be. And I love attention. You know that. I love attention. Of course, if it's good attention. But yeah, I want accolades. I want accolades all over the place. And you didn't get any. And I don't think that's fair. So in reality, I'm not arguing or fighting for me. I'm doing it for you.
Yeah,
Because this has gone too far. I mean, it's too big. It's one thing to say, yeah, I walked in the door at the same time you did. Or it's another thing to say, well, I wore blue that night, you didn't. You know, that's ridiculous and that's stupid. But unfortunately, I do that. But this is a whole different ballgame. This is like written on the wall. This is like an epitome of what was done. And I think that needs to be recognized. I really do. I think it needs to be recognized. And I think people need to know where the actual stuff came from. Again, like I always talk about how there would be no wrestling today without old school, without these poor older men. That's why I do old school, because all these people who lived in their cars and ate out of cans, without them, there would be no wrestling today. But do they ever get recognized for it? No. Okay. So many of them should be in the Hall of Fame today, and they're not. But Joel, and you are in a couple of Hall of Fames as well, aren't you? Which ones are you in?
I'm in a couple of Hall of Fames. And, you know, the Hall of Fames, all that proves is I'm an old fart. That's what it proves. Okay. And the Hall of Fames, look, I'm in the ECWA Hall of Fame. I'm in that Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fames are great. The recognition. Slowly but surely, people are recognizing what the TWA did.
Right.
Okay. Believe it or not, my name is on the banner. But it was DC Drake, Larry Winters, Johnny Hotbody, and Tony Stetson that brought the blood. So when Ryan came up with the name of Bled It Dry, that's a recognition of the guys that work, the boys that work for me are the ones that really made the TWA work.
And they should get recognition as well. It really should.
No question.
And it breaks my heart that Larry Winters is not here, because he was your booker. And you told me many, many, many times that all you had to do was look at each other and you both knew exactly what you wanted done that night, or what you wanted, you know, and that's a relationship that you don't just get anywhere. That's something that, you know, it has to be formed. It has to be built. It has to blend. It has to mesh. And you don't just have that with anybody. I mean, Bay did a great job for the May 3rd. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the relationship you had with Larry, that is priceless.
There's no question. In fact, if Larry was still around, Larry would have been a booker and Chubby wouldn't have been involved. Okay. Larry and I had a connection. There's no question about it.
Right.
Chubby did a great job. He did. Look, the one thing I've always said, even in my book, a promoter is not a booker. They're two different people.
Exactly.
I don't believe in doing both things. I was the promoter. He was the booker.
Right.
We would talk about things before time, but then I left it up to them. Chubby was the same way. Chubby, the whole show was put together by Chubby. I didn't agree with 100% of what I saw. Okay.
Yep.
But that's,
you know,
my job was to promote. That's all.
Right. Exactly. Now, Ryan, I want to ask you, being, as I know you're a very humble guy, but forget that for a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, how proud are you of doing this documentary, and what number would you give it as far as success rate?
Yeah, that's tough to say, right? Because I'm too in it now. Like, you get to a point where you're editing and you watch the thing start to finish hundreds of times. So at this point, I'm sick of it. I don't want to see it anymore. But I was the same way with the ECWA documentary, and I just sat down and watched it. It's been 2 years since I saw it, you know, in the theater or whatever. And my son wanted to watch it because he's a big wrestling fan. So I sat down and watched it with him. And now I'm just starting to get to the point where I can, like, not look at all the little things I should have done differently.
Yeah.
And I can sit down and enjoy it. Right now, I've seen this so many times, I can't even fairly assess. I think Joel will like it. I think everybody who was involved will like it. If you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll like it. If you don't know where the tree legs for ECW started, I think you'll enjoy it. And it just, if you were a fan of any kind of independent wrestling, you'll enjoy it. There's so many guys that are involved in the project that just aren't here anymore. And you guys mentioned Larry Winters, and obviously we couldn't interview him, but I was able to track down a never before seen interview with Larry Winters. And that's where he's talking about TWA. And he's in it several times.
Awesome.
So
that's
awesome. It's really cool. So
very cool.
There's a lot of cool things in there. And again, Joel hasn't seen any of that stuff, so he doesn't know what Larry had to say, you know, years after TWA was closed.
Right.
And yeah, so this will kind of tie
That's
it all
really
together.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So it's July 12th, am I right?
July
Sunday.
12th.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do July 12th. We're going to have, like I said, we're going to have another podcast with multiple people on. I want everybody to consider going because I think it's going to be great. I want everybody to be there. I mean, as many people as we can get, that'd be great. I think it's important. I think it's just really important. It's not just another documentary. I think it's important because it sets a legacy and it tells a really, really good story. Ryan and Joel, I want to thank you both for being here.
Yes, I have a quick question.
Oh, go ahead,
So
Jeannie.
I know, how do I say this? The premiere or the, of the documentary is July 12th. Now, if there's some people, or even myself, I'm going. Is there a way on the TWA website after the 12th where?
Yeah, we're gonna announce
sold?
that at July 12th. We'll announce
Okay,
other ways
okay.
you can watch it.
Okay, great.
Is there going to be for sale though, right? After?
Everything will be announced July 12th. We're still in the process of working all that out.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So needless to say, we definitely need another podcast. We have more to talk about. We're going to bring other people on, and I think it definitely warrants another podcast. And Joel, as much as I don't like you, it's important for us to keep you in the spotlight for the rest of your life. And I don't care whether you like it or not, you're coming back. So we will see you again soon. Ryan, again, of course, you're welcome anytime. Jeannie, I love you. We'll see you soon. And we're going to start doing what we need to do the way we need to do it with everything and tell the truth about everything. Thank you so much, guys. And Jeannie, I can't thank you enough for being here. Very excited about this.
Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Yeah, no, it's going to be, it's just going to be great. And with all of the interviews, I haven't seen them obviously, but the ones that I did see when we were at that house, we, like you said, we were crying. So
yeah,
there's going to be tears, and there's going to be happy tears, sad tears, for the people that we've lost. And
yeah,
it's going to be a great day. It really is.
I think it's going to be awesome. I wouldn't, and it's a Sunday, and I still wouldn't miss it. So I think it's going to be a really good day. I think it's going to be fun. And I think everybody should come. So with that said, we will see you again in a couple. Well, we're going to be here every week, but I mean, we'll see you again in a couple of weeks for the documentary information, updating, and bringing more people on to talk about it. So with that said, thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Can't thank you enough. Okay, thank you. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.